Okay, just gotta set that up and all right. I think we're good. Hello to the handler helpers and to my fellow monster handler peers. I'm sending this message from base camp number 14 on Fire Oasis. Thanks to the new map the spirits have made and some new interdimensional technology we've been working on, the opportunity for discovery has only gotten better. Anyways, I've just returned from an expedition and boy oh boy do I have some field notes to share with you. Alright, now I started my expedition by scuba diving around the shores of Fire Oasis. There have been some reports of some unusual aquatic activity, mainly revolving around monsters' toes being nibbled on. While I swam around Fire Oasis, I noticed a sea of purple a little more offshore. Once I got a little closer, I knew I was in the presence of an academy of epic fanglers. By looking at it, you would assume that it would live deep near the living ocean's floor, but I was surprised to find it pretty close to the surface, like its rare cousins. There was one characteristic in particular that got me curious: their eyes. Now, by looking at epic fangler, one may assume that they have incredible eyesight, but it actually seems to be the opposite. I noticed they accidentally bump into me and seem confused after doing so, though a few had a certain fixation on my purple pen, which causes me to think that they can only see the color violet. Its eyesight being generally poor actually makes a lot of sense of why it keeps mistakenly nibbling on other monsters' toes, probably confusing them for treats. But if you're a monster with purple toes, don't worry, you're safe. Next, I tried to scale a blown glass mountain to see if I could find a good glowl watching spot. However, I lost my footing and I began to fall, which makes a lot of sense because you're trying to climb glass, Tyson. Come on, Tyson, think! Anyways, I was caught by a hero. It was Epic Spirit. I offered some coins and treats in order to thank the Epic Seasonal, but it insisted that it couldn't take it. It was calm during a crisis, heroic in nature, and humble. This might very much be the most perfect resident in the monster world. Though, as I was leaving, it kept showing off its physique, which, came across as a little braggy, but I'm sure they were trying to communicate something else. Anyways, later that day, I was able to go glowl watching. However, I did notice that one of them was acting a little bit strange. It wasn't flying as gracefully as usual, and it had a couple greenish furlers which I had never seen before. The glowl then broke away from the rest of the flare and seemingly hid in an enclave, not knowing that I was still watching it. To my surprise, it turned into a mimic. None of the monster handlers could have imagined a discovery like this. I theorize that the mimic has been laying low this whole time, disguising itself as other monsters for eons. I do question why it's chosen Fire Oasis as its home. It must have taken a liking to the fire monsters, I guess. Though I was shocked that it hasn't been discovered sooner, judging by how unique their mimicking voice is. A lot could have happened between now and the dawn of fire, so who really knows what Mimic has been up to till now? But, if you have any theories, please send them to me. Okay, so we've covered Epic Fangler, Epic Spirit, Mimic. Who else am I missing? Oh, right! Wobbox appeared on Fire Oasis. It actually caught the rest of the handlers and I by surprise while we scanned the new map the spirits made. It's so awesome to see that the Wobbox has finally made it to both the Fire Islands. I've actually requested Monster Hunter Gen to go out and do some more research on why the Wobbox can be on the Fire Islands in the first place, so stay tuned for that. Anyways, I better get going. Monster Handler Tyson out. Happy monstering! Where's the button?
Tyson, don't be ridiculous. These things usually aren't that scary.
Yeah, okay, sounds like a plan. I'll see you later.
Come, my child, step inside and behold a vision most splendorous. I can see... Oh, it's you. I wasn't expecting you. I foresaw it. What am I doing? Well, I'm only really a seer part-time. I dabble, really. It's only really when the scare fair is in town. But I can show you a vision, exciting evidence of a more elaborate ancient seasonal event than ever was thought possible before. Gaze into the crystal ball and behold the dawn of fire. What? What's the problem? Yes, I know crystal balls typically show you the future, but this one shows you the past, okay? Just work with me here. Ooh. Spooktacle Jr. and Young Punkleton return in Dawn of Fire version 3.2, along with an all-new structure that allows you to craft and keep seasonal costumes. The Costume Trunk. Get it? Because it's a trunk, like a tree trunk? Anyways, the Costume Trunk is a continent exclusive where you can combine crafting items obtained from other structures with an all-new resource type, Seasonal Cheer. Each type of seasonal cheer will randomly spawn on the corresponding elemental land of the continent, just like a crystal. Plus, it can also be collected as a possible reward when a seasonal monster ventures into the Wonder Mine. There are 5 different types of costume items, one for each of the element number types: single, double, triple, quad, and quint. Once a costume has been crafted, you can give it to an eligible monster the same way you would any item. Then the monster will own that costume forever. You can toggle whether a monster is wearing its costume in its info menu. But that's not all. There are also brand new animated seasonal decorations that you can craft in the workshop structure or buy directly in the market. Plus, you can also add seasonal obstacle decorations in the same way. The Plantlands have never looked spookier. And as for those elemental essences that randomly appeared a little while back, I command you to forget all about them. No, that didn't work? Well, Mama always said just stick to soothsaying. Maybe they'll be important in the future, maybe they won't, I don't know. Download My Singing Monsters Dawn of Fire version 3.2 for free today and enjoy Spooktacle Jr. for a limited time. And as always, happy monstering!
Hey Handler Helpers, Monster Handler Allie here reporting from the Monster Handler Base Camp on Cold Island, and ooh do I have some exciting updates for you. From my most recent expedition to the Monster World, I discovered some brand new festive fripperies for this Festival of Yay season. The monsters really went all out during this year's Festival of Yay. They even created 9 brand new Yay inspired costumes. I personally witnessed the monsters engage in their own mini fashion show on Cold Island, walking the runway to some of their favorite holiday songs to show off their new fancy garb. I'm a big fan of Bulbo's Merry and Bright costume. Which one's your favorite? Speaking of Bulbo, I was so excited to discover Rare Bulbo on Light Island. Rare Bulbo was not quite what I was expecting, I'll be honest. After a quick chat with the Rare Mythical, I learned that it feels a little sensitive about some of its dermological imperfections. It reminded me of some of the struggles a lot of us face growing up. Don't you remember what it's like having acne? I'm glad I could remind Rare Bulbo that these are just glowing pains, and everything is going to be fine. We've all felt like Rare Bulbo at some point, haven't we? Ooh, I was so wrapped up in Rare Bulbo, I almost forgot about another epic discovery we made this week. That's right, I'm talking about Epic Strombonin. While I was strolling along the shores of Cold Island, I spotted something in the distance drifting towards me. And in its full glory, it was no one other than Epic Strombonin riding upon a glorious ice drift. The Epic Mythical told me all about how the ice drift is its favorite place to play its song. I couldn't help but ask why it replaced its classic molluscan companion for this alien-looking creature that kept popping in and out from its instrument. That's when Epic Strombonin gave the Fleech the opportunity to play its song. I had never heard of a Fleech before, so I had to learn a lot more, and after a lot of research, I almost fell asleep in my tent, we discovered that Fleeches are actually native to Cold Island. They've been creating tunnels through the glaciers of Cold Island using their ice pick-like fangs. Its construction skills are definitely top-notch. I did learn that Fleeches are really hard to catch though. The only way to apprehend a Fleech is by plugging its tunnel with a perfectly shaped horn. I guess that's how they commandeered a Fleech to play its trombone. As we would have expected with the discovery of Epic Strombonin, we also discovered Rare Cranchi, Strombonin's Dream Mythical. I was surprised at the Rare Dream Mythical's demeanor when we first met. Its attitude was pretty hoity-toity, as opposed to the crankitude its common cousin has. At first glance, I thought the Dream Mythical was a little snobbish, but after getting to know it a bit, they started to rub off on me. One thing I did learn the hard way though, you really need to study if you want to keep up with its sophisticated taste in the arts. I certainly didn't study enough, and I think they may have been a little miffed. Luckily, we began talking about my admiration for their ceramics collection, and that seemed to get me back on their good side. Phew! My final big discovery this Festival of Yay season was none other than Rare Dromedary, and thank Galvana because we've been searching for it for ages. Much like my own real-world BFF, Rare Dromedary's BFF's hobbies certainly rubbed off on it. This rare earth elemental's architectural aspirations really shine through its castle-like armor that encases the monster. I noticed it even has a drawbridge. I wonder what that's used for. I was a little worried that this rare monster might be a bit tough to get to know, but we became friends really quickly. I learned it loves to use its armaments for hide-and-go-seek, and let me tell you, it won every game we played. I guess I have to get better at that game. Wow, we sure covered a lot of content this episode of Field Notes. I think I might have to go take a nap before I head back to the human world. We hope you enjoyed discovering all the amazing content that was released earlier this week, and we want to wish you a very happy Festival of Yay, and as always, happy monstering!
Hey Handler Helpers, I'm here to report on some new discoveries in the monster world. Recently, we've received some new intelligence about Epic Fung prey from our experts in the field. And yes, I know what you're thinking. Aren't we supposed to be the experts? Well, these findings come from a special field correspondent, a real-world animal conservationist. Let's throw it over to our expert in the Explorer tent on Ethereal Island, Mark Vins from Brave Wilderness.
Thanks, Monster Handler Charlie. Yes, poring over the Monster Handler research on Epic Fung prey, it reminded me of this rare species of decorator crab that I once filmed in Indonesia. This animal isn't even recognized by scientists yet. It's so rare. I was on a dive in Limbe Strait, and once I was at the bottom, I saw this object that was covered in colorful sponges and all kinds of weird shapes, very similar to the Epic Fung prey. And once I got close, I could see that it wasn't just an object, it was alive, it was moving. It was a crab. And I tried to film it for as long as I could, but inevitably it was at the end of a tank, so I had to go back to the surface, and I never saw this creature ever again. That is, until I got a glimpse of the new monster. Back to you, Monster Handler Charlie.
Thanks, Mark. Your real-world animal expertise really shows us monster handlers how to better observe, study, and understand the monsters we discover. Which reminds me, now we know that each of Epic Fung prey's eyes have probabilistic vision and can see the possible outcome of any situation. But did you know that each eye also has a unique property that allows it to see different and sometimes undiscovered combinations of color? This, of course, all depends on the combination of eyes that are opened or closed. It's great to learn this stuff about Epic Fung prey, or any monster for that matter. But thanks to Mark over at Brave Wilderness, it's good to know that the animals in our own world are just as wildly interesting or beautifully monstrous. Happy monstering!
When you wish upon a... I didn't see you there. Don't you know it's impolite to sneak up on someone as they're making a wish? I have to resort to wishing upon a star, while the monsters from the era of Dawn of Fire had a much more fanciful setup. Wait, are you telling me you've never heard of the wishing well of the Waterlands? Well, have I got a story for you. The wishing well is a special structure that has been spoken of in whispers for many years now. Its very existence only ever alluded to in mysterious sources like the Water Island of the Mirror Timeline and records detailing the history of Epic Flugel. But now, for the first time, we have definitive proof of its existence. Archaeological evidence places the wishing well on the site of an ancient whirlpool at the intersection of the plantlands and waterlands on the prehistoric continent. Unlocked at level 30, the wishing well is similar to the Cold Lands Wonder Mine, but instead of sending adventuring monsters on special missions, you put in different amounts of coins in exchange for a wish. Simply drag the amount of coins you want to use for your wish onto the structure, and then tap Begin. Like other structures, the wishing well takes time to produce its rewards, but you can choose to speed up the process with diamonds. Once complete, you can collect your rewards. Rewards take the form of unique crafting items and decorations that you won't be able to get anywhere else. Use the decorations to customize the look of your islands and offer up the valuable crafting items to satisfy your monster's wants. The more coins you offer up to the wishing well, the more elaborate your potential rewards, which even include diamonds. Diamonds? Psst. A quick behind-the-scenes fun fact. Many of the crafting items and decorations from the wishing well were actually designed many years ago, but were recently touched up and made ready to join the official Dawn of Fire experience. The Wishing Well arrives in the upcoming Dawn of Fire version 3.3, alongside the start of Eggstravaganza Jr., the return of Young Blabbit, new animated decorations, and first-time availability for Eggy costumes in the costume trunk. We hope that you enjoy this update, and, to finish the thought at the beginning of the Field Notes, your dreams come true.
Hello, Handler Helpers, it's me, Monster Handler Tyson, coming to you from base camp number 14 on Fire Oasis. Now, we have a lot of juicy discoveries to share with you. Before we get started, we actually have a special guest visiting the HQ right now, so I thought it'd be kind of cool to show them what it's like to be a monster handler and put them on the field. Let's see how it goes.
Oh no, I didn't sign up for this. Is that a rare schlep? It looks like my grandmother. I don't know what that is.
Well, it seems that Matt Shea's having the best first time in the monster world, so while he basks in the beauty of rare schlep, why don't I tell you a little bit more about it? Thanks to the Fire Oasis mythical Cherubble for practicing some new lucid dreaming techniques, it was able to morph its original perception of schlep into a much more graceful rare schlep. Some may say that much more graceful might be a bit too generous, but I think with its curlers, bows, makeup, and mouth-watering bonbons, rare schlep might very well be one of the most beautiful monsters found in the monster world. Don't at me. Now I know a lot of the Handler Helper community are going to ask if the bonbons seen in Rare Schlep's transparent abdomen are edible. The answer, and look at me when I say this, is no. You see, Rare Schlep is a dream mythical created from the subconscious of Cherubble, a monster who occasionally swims deep in the living ocean. Now, I'm very certain that Cherubble has never seen nor tasted real bonbons before, so I hypothesize that what we are actually seeing are some colorful and distinct ocean rocks that Cherubble remembers fondly due to their uniqueness. So if you try to eat one, I think all you're going to be getting is a bunch of broken teeth. A different kind of mouthwatering, if you will. Speaking of uniqueness and Cherubble, did you know that Ultimate creator Eric based his design of Epic Cherubble on a scaly foot gastropod, a real creature found in the human world? And just like Eric was inspired by a scaly foot gastropod, the discovery of Epic Cherubble confirms a long theorized phenomenon unique to the monster world: inspirational evolution. In Eric's own words, instead of any sort of natural biological evolution, Willoughby and Pechidna are inspirational evolutions of the concept of Cherubble. The idea boils down to Dulcitea looking at Cherubble, thinking, I like how this thing plays, I want to do that, and creating Willoughby, followed by the Stair Shaper putting its own spin on the concept with Pechidna. The monster world never ceases to amaze me. Now let's move on to Rare Capricorn. Oh, wait, let's not forget about Matt Shea.
I don't like this. Brains, why are there brains everywhere?
All right, let's let Matt soak in the sights for a little bit while I tell you about Rare Capricorn. Rather than its common counterpart, Rare Capricorn grows 3 horns instead of 1. Once a Rare Capricorn is mature enough, the 2 most outer and longer horns naturally shed off, and the Rare uses them to make its signature Morse-like music. By using its own horns as instrumental tools, more magical abilities for this magical monster are applied, like having the power to remove impurities from water and cure headaches. Whew, I wish it was only that easy in the human world. Now, you are probably wondering if Rare Capricorn can fly with those bat-like wings found on the sides of its head. Unfortunately, Rare Capricorn itself is too heavy for it to pick itself off the ground. However, we have observed that the Rare uses these wings to glide short distances when perched in the many trees in the woodland realm, its preferred habitat on Psychic Island. Now, before we talk about the titanic elephant in the room, why don't I bring Matt Shea here to Fire Oasis to observe one more discovery? And between you and me, I don't think Matt's brain could handle the presence of the Krovlaftian crocus. Okay, you ready, Matt? I'm sure he'll be fine. Let's talk about Rare Mimic. Now, the time span in which the Rare Mimic has been around is widely debated within the Monster Handler circle. Some previously believed that it had gone extinct and has somehow returned. Some think that it's been disguised this whole time, and others believe that some common mimics decided to settle into a new form and class. It's hard to say which theory is true, even on the molecular level, since mimic DNA is constantly shifting. However, we have stumbled upon a new discovery based on mimic DNA. We were comparing mimic DNA with other avian-like monsters in the monster world, and we discovered that gobblygords are somehow a 100% match. A working theory is that some ancient mimics decided they were tired of the constant shifting in their life and wanted stability. So it focused all its energy and came up with a whole new form and monster we all know today as gobblygord. This transformation is a one-way street, locking away their shifting ability, but it does give the ability of invincibility, explaining why gobblygords can fall from great heights and re-enter the monster world atmosphere without a scratch. Although there are still some striking similarities, especially when it comes to echoing other monsters. You know what? I think it's time for him to go home. All right, now I think it's finally time to address the titanic discovery on Psychic Island. The Kruvlaftian crocus has finally arisen. You'll notice that the Psychic Titan soul is rooted in the ground of Psychic Island differently from its Light Island Phlox counterpart. This more attuned and deep-rooted connection is needed since Psychic Island requires more brain power to operate. You see, Psychic Island is floating in space and takes the Titan a little more energy to make sure its landmass doesn't re-enter into the monster world atmosphere. This responsibility seems to be a blessing and a curse for the Kruvlaftian crocus, as it seems like it yearns to explore the cosmos and go where no monster has gone before. However, Kruvlaft keeps a close eye, or many close eyes as it were, on keeping the crocus rooted in place. The Titan Soul must content itself with conducting the music of Psychic Island, which includes electricity coursing through tentacles, meteor showers, and directing the music of the eye critters floating around. I will say, when you look at the view you get to see every day, I would want to stay there too. Well, that's all I have to report for this special Perplex 4 Field Notes. We hope you enjoyed all the new discoveries, and as always, happy monstering!
Why have a menti bee when you could have a destructi bee? That sounded better in my head. And I don't blame me, because I'm currently just ahead. What fate has befallen me, Monster Handler Matt, you might be asking yourself? Well, I've just been fed through the deconstructor, Dawn of Fire's latest structure that's all about taking things apart and breaking them down into their various pieces. Speaking of pieces, hey, body parts! Do you think I should tell these handler helpers a little bit more about how it works? All right, let's break it down. Get it? Get it? That's deconstructor humor. Never mind. Just like the wishing well before it, the deconstructor has been visible on Mirror Earth Island for many years, just minding its own business. And now it finally claims its rightful home on the Earthlands of the continent. Unlocked at level 41, the deconstructor works the opposite way of most structures. Instead of taking various ingredients and combining them into a single object like a crafting item or decoration, this structure breaks down that single object into essences and some of the various ingredients of its recipe. Yes, these are the same essences that surreptitiously snuck their way in all the way back in SummerSong Junior 2024, and that I alluded to in my field notes about the costume trunk. These special items come in musical and elemental varieties, and although their true purpose is currently unknown, something tells me we'll be able to solve the mystery soon enough. Now, the deconstructor is a miniature volcano, so the process is naturally destructive in addition to deconstructive. As such, some of the expected ingredients of a deconstructed object can be lost in the process. For example, if you were to put a tropical slime, one of mine and Furcoin's personal favorites, through the deconstructor, you would get back some essence and some, but not all, of slime, coconuts, apple juices, and ice. Cost of doing business with lava, I guess. Deconstruction is free, except of course for the loss of the deconstructed item itself, and it takes 6 hours to deconstruct, regardless of the input object. However, you can only deconstruct one item at a time, but you can always choose to spend diamonds to speed up the process. The deconstructor makes its volcanic debut in the imminently available Dawn of Fire version 3.4. This update also coincides with the celebration of SummerSong Junior, marking the return of young Hula, the arrival of new animated decorations, and first-time availability for summery costumes in the costume trunk. Now that the whole gang's back together on the continent, the teleporter, the wonder mine, the skyship, the wishing well, and the deconstructor, what could be next for Dawn of Fire? Just what are those essences going to be used for? Well, someone's celebrating a pretty big birthday soon, so I don't think we'll have very long that we need to wait to find out. Enjoy version 3.4 of Dawn of Fire coming next week, and until next time, happy deconstructing! Happy monstering!
Hello, Handler Helpers, it's me, Monster Handler Tyson, celebrating the Be Hereafter here on Bone Island. Although, it's odd because all the monsters seem to be on their absolute best behavior, practicing proper party etiquette. Gnarls and Major Ocarina's costumes are the perfect pairing for some new seasonal snacks, which have been fancifully prepared. But what's the special occasion? It probably has something to do with our new discovery, Epic Clacula, the first epic magical ever recorded. The new arrival seems infatuated with fancy appearances and devout politeness. Although at times this epic can be a tad stuck up with its opinions. But the rest of the monsters do see this new addition as a net positive for the vibe of the island, so they just smile and nod when they need to. However, we have been hearing some reports that Epic Clacula and Rare Dentures have been butting their heads, disagreeing on how important good hygiene is. If only the Rare Dentures resided on Wublin Island, where its new resident, Epic Blipsqueak, could simply give it a remedy that could prevent that pesky gingivitis. Rare Dentures might be out of luck, but thankfully the rest of the Wublins can reap the benefits of their new self-proclaimed Chirurgeon, which is pretty ironic seeing how it doesn't have any hands. According to one of its more recent Apothecary Diary entries, it's currently trying to create the cure to Tweedlepox, but no monster is willing to be the first test subject. Anyways, we hope you enjoy the festivities of the Be Hereafter, and as always, happy monstering! Hello, Handler Helpers, it's me, Monster Handler Tyson, reporting to you on Firehaven, getting ready to celebrate Feast Ember. Officially kicking off on November 19th, Feast Ember is one of the most adored events here in the monster world, probably because of the massive parade that is held in Gobblegore's honor. Speaking of, where did that crazy turkey go anyways? Anyways, let's get to our new discovery, shall we? While I navigated through the various tunnels to get here from Bone Island, I found myself a little lost until I found a strange trail of embers. As I followed them, the air became hotter, which told me I was going in the right direction. I eventually made it to the Firehaven opening, but instead of the brilliant warm orange glow that we are all used to, it was glowing a bright, hot blue. Once my eyes could adjust, I found myself in the presence of Epic Candelabra, wielding the arcane fire itself. We have heard tales of such a being, a guide for lost and wandering fire monsters trying to find the Firehaven since the Great Cataclysm after the Dawn of Fire. Now it seems like the Epic Candelabra is here to stay and has finally made its existence known. Hopefully, with the aid of the arcane fire, it can help even more lost and wandering monsters find their way home. Oh, phew, it's getting hot in here. What? It seems like our new arrival has risen the temperature of the Firehaven by a whopping 20 degrees, so we're going to have to get used to that. As for our next discovery, while Epic Candelabra brings monsters towards them, the Night Bear seems to only push monsters away, intentionally. As we all know, the Night Bear is rather socially awkward and can sometimes dampen the mood thanks to its melancholic atmosphere. However, we have seen an increase in spottings of night bears going off to isolate themselves only to return as a rare night bear. We theorize that the common night bear might feel bad for potentially ruining other monster celebrations and wants to avoid ruining the vibe, even though when asked, none of the other workshoppers actually share these feelings. Recently, I decided to follow a night bear to witness what was causing this rare transformation. What I saw left me quite curious. You would think you would perhaps see a night bear crying or wallowing in its own self-pity, but no! It seems to be in deep, reflective thought. It's unclear if this potential self-discovery is aided by some sort of machinery, perhaps invented by Vention, or if it's strictly the monster's imagination. Either way, once it's done its isolating and meditative process, it comes back as a fully realized, rare night bear with a little bit more confidence, I might add. What exactly goes through a night bear's head to reach this point is a mystery. I can only imagine a variety of wild things, but I like to believe that it mostly thinks about how it belongs and how it's never alone. You know, both the Feast-Ember Parade and the Night Bears could benefit from Mythical Island's new resident party planner, Epic Nerve. We can't forget that the common form of this dream mythical is pulled from Bazinga's imagination and memories of wandering across the multiverse. But this epic variant reminds us a little bit of some kind of octopus, maybe? Perhaps it likes to be under the sea in some kind of garden? Party guests are lulled in some kind of trance state and imagine themselves to be on a seabed and are content in the fact that they can't be found. That sounds kind of unsettling. I don't like being told what to do. Ooh, wait, what's happening? Okay, just let me shake this off for a second. Now that this is the second epic dream mythical we've discovered, we started to notice an interesting trend and have formulated a theory that monster handler Allie will be doing an in-depth study on to see what might be going on with their inspirations. So look forward to that. We can't wait for you to meet those new monsters for the upcoming Feast-Ember, and before you sign off, I am happy to share that the long-awaited Perplex Lore winner video will finally be released very soon, and who knows, maybe it has something to do with one detail in the Feast-Ember update that I did not share yet. I'm excited to see your theories in the comments. That is it for now, and as always, happy monstering!